Have you ever wondered how one nation could shape the destiny of an entire region? In the early 1900s, the United States played a pivotal role in Latin America, using its power to transform economies, politics, and even borders. But was this influence a necessary strategy or outright imperialism? In today's video, we'll uncover the story of U.S. involvement in Latin America and explore its lasting impact. By the end of this video, you'll understand how military strength, diplomacy, and economic strategies defined America's approach to Latin America, and why these policies still spark debates today. To understand the U.S.'s role in Latin America, we need to start with the big picture. The early 1900s marked an era of expansion for the United States, not just at home, but abroad. Driven by a desire to protect the Western Hemisphere from European interference and secure economic opportunities, the U.S. used its growing power to assert dominance over its neighbors. This policy was justified by the Monroe Doctrine, a declaration against European colonization in the Americas, but it soon evolved into something much bigger. Imagine a chessboard. The U.S. saw Latin America as key squares to control. Every move, whether military, political, or economic, was calculated to strengthen its position. Let's begin with Puerto Rico, a territory acquired by the U.S. after the Spanish-American War in 1898. Before the war, Puerto Ricans like Luis Muñoz Rivera fought for independence from Spain, even securing limited self-governance in 1897. But when the U.S. took control, it had different plans. Under the Foraker Act of 1900, Puerto Rico gained a House of Representatives and Supreme Court, but remained under significant U.S. control. The president appointed key officials, ensuring American interest came first. Why was this important? Puerto Rico's tropical climate provided valuable resources like sugar, and its location made it a perfect site for a naval base. Does this sound like liberation, or just another form of control? Let me know in the comments below. Next, we move to Theodore Roosevelt's famous foreign policy, big stick diplomacy. What does that mean? Roosevelt explained it simply. Speak softly and carry a big stick. Negotiate peacefully, but back your words with military strength. For example, in 1902, Venezuela was blockaded by European powers demanding debt repayment. Roosevelt intervened, negotiating a peaceful settlement while subtly reminding Europe of the U.S. Navy's might. This was the essence of his approach. He even expanded the Monroe Doctrine with the Roosevelt Corollary, asserting that the U.S. could intervene in Latin America to prevent European interference. It was a bold statement of power. The Panama Canal is one of Roosevelt's most famous legacies. Why was it so important? At the time, ships had to travel around South America to move between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, a costly and time-consuming journey. Roosevelt saw the canal as vital to U.S. trade and military strategy. Here's where it gets dramatic. Colombia, which controlled the Isthmus of Panama, refused to grant the U.S. rights to build the canal. So Roosevelt backed a Panamanian independence movement, ensuring that Panama broke away from Colombia, and quickly signed a treaty with the U.S. So what was the outcome? Construction began in 1904 and was completed in 1914. The canal was an engineering marvel, but it also symbolized America's growing global influence and its willingness to bend the rules. After Roosevelt, William Taft took a different approach: dollar diplomacy. Instead of relying on military might, Taft used economic influence to achieve U.S. goals. For example, in 1909, the U.S. loaned money to China to help buy Japanese-owned railroads, securing American interest in the region. While big stick diplomacy flexed power, dollar diplomacy wielded wealth. Both aimed to expand U.S. influence, but with different tools. Which approach do you think was more effective and ethical? Let me know in the comments. Let's step back and look at the broader picture. Between 1867 and 1903, the U.S. acquired territories like Puerto Rico, the Panama Canal Zone, and the Midway Islands. Supporters argued these moves were necessary for national security and economic growth, but critics saw them as imperialistic. Were these actions a natural extension of America's rise, or an overreach into the sovereignty of other nations? Let me know in the comments below. Now it's your turn. Let's discuss. 1. How did Roosevelt's big stick diplomacy shape U.S. foreign policy? 2. What were the effects of the Panama Canal's construction? 3. How did dollar diplomacy differ from big stick diplomacy in terms of goals and outcomes? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I would love to hear from you. To wrap up, the early 20th century saw the U.S. expand its influence in Latin America through military, political, and economic strategies. Roosevelt's big stick diplomacy set the tone for interventionism, while the Panama Canal showcased America's engineering prowess and geopolitical ambition. Meanwhile, Taft's dollar diplomacy highlighted the growing role of economics in foreign policy. These strategies defined an era of U.S. power, but they also raised important questions about ethics and sovereignty, questions that remain relevant today. If you got a lot of value out of this video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and the bell so you won't miss any future videos. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.